Around the 5th century BC, Chaerephon, a friend of Socrates, went to the Temple of Delphi and asked, "Who is the wisest man in Greece?" The oracle said, "The wisest man in Greece is Socrates." So Chaerephon went to Socrates and said, "Hey, I heard you're the wisest man in Greece." But Socrates couldn't understand. Socrates thought he didn't know anything. So how could he be the wisest man in Greece? So Socrates searched around for philosophers, politicians, and poets who were known to be wise in Athens at the time, and talked to them. After talking to them, Socrates realized what the oracle meant. He understood why he was the wisest man. It was because Socrates knew the one thing that others did not know. So what was that one thing? That is the story for today. Socrates had conversations with famous philosophers, politicians, and poets of Athens at the time. Socrates' method of conversation was unique. When Socrates asks the other person a question and the other person answers, he would ask another question and repeat this. It's like this, for example. At the time, there was a case where a young man named Euthyphro prosecuted his own father of murder. Socrates ran into this young man on the street. Even if he committed murder, it doesn't seem right to prosecute one's father. So Socrates asked him this.
How could you prosecute your own father?
Why not? He murdered a man.
Still, you prosecute your father?
I think prosecuting a murderer is the pious thing to do.
Pious? What is pious?
I told you, prosecuting a murderer is pious.
No, that's a kind of pious act. What is the meaning of piety?
Piety is like being loved by the gods.
Yeah, but you see the apple here. What is the reason you see the apple?
What bullshit is he talking about? I see it because there's an apple there.
What I mean is, do you see the apple because the apple has a property of being seen? Or because you see the apple?
Well, because I see the apple.
Yes, so if an act has been loved by the gods, is it because the act has a property of being loved by the gods? Or because the gods love the act?
Well, because the gods love the act.
See?
See what?
Saying that being piety is being loved by the gods isn't talking about the property of piety. It's just that the gods love piety. I keep asking you, what is piety? What are the properties of being piety? But you are not giving me an answer.
Well, it's like this. So the Athenians avoided running into Socrates. But Thrasymachus, who was humiliated a few days ago while talking about justice, ran into Socrates again. Socrates didn't miss the opportunity and talked to him again.
How do you feel today?
I'm a bit depressed.
What does it mean that you are depressed?
I am feeling down.
What does it mean that you are feeling down?
I don't feel good.
What does it mean that you don't feel good?
I don't know.
You're better than others. At least you know what you don't know.
In a way, he's asking the other person a question and twisting his words around. As he talks to Socrates, the other person gets to look at his own thoughts more critically. And he realizes that what he thought he knows is actually not what he knows. This is called the Socratic method. Like this, Socrates met and talked to many famous people, but all of those conversations ended with an "I don't know." The wise people in Athens said they know a lot, but as it turns out, they don't know anything. And that's when Socrates realized. The realization is this. Socrates knows that he knows nothing, but those people don't know that they know nothing. Knowing that one knows nothing. That's called awareness of ignorance. And that's why in the Temple of Delphi, the oracle said that Socrates was the wisest man in Athens. Because he knew something that no one else knows. That's the fact that he knows nothing. It is said that the maxim "Know thyself" was inscribed on the Temple of Delphi. Socrates often quoted this saying. I think he meant know that you know nothing. Socrates also said the unexamined life is not worth living. There may be many interpretations of this, but I think it means to constantly ask why about your life. Why are you watching this video? Why are you studying? Why do you go to work? Why do you live? In fact, these questions don't have an answer, but you can have your own answers. Socrates is saying that a life that asks these questions is the philosophical life. Socrates was prosecuted by the citizens of Athens. The reason was that he did not believe in the Athenian gods and corrupted the Athenian youth. This is how the trial went. First, the accuser explained why he accused Socrates, and Socrates defended why he is innocent. Then 500 jurors voted in the first round to determine whether he is guilty or not guilty. The conviction was 280 to 220. The difference in votes wasn't too big. It was because Socrates was such a good speaker. The second vote was a vote on the sentence. The accuser and the accused each suggested a reasonable sentence, and the jury chose one. First, the accuser proposed the death penalty. Then Socrates made his second argument. Socrates could just say that he was in the wrong and that he would pay a fine. Because the first vote was so narrowly convicted, it was clear that the jury did not think Socrates' crime was so great. However, Socrates, who gained confidence after moving the hearts of the jury in the first defense, aggravated the situation in the second defense. He said strange things like that the people did not know how great he was, and that he should actually be treated as a benefactor of Athens. He said, "If I must, I'll pay a fine." So in the second vote, he was sentenced to death, 360 to 140. After the first defense, there were 220 jurors who thought he was innocent, and 80 of them voted for his death. They were furious. Socrates said in his final statement at the trial, "Well, now it is time to be off. I to die and you to live. But which of us has the happier prospect is unknown to anyone but the gods." Socrates was imprisoned. Back then, you could easily escape with a small bribe. So Socrates' friend Crito suggested that he break out of prison. But Socrates refused. He had lived according to the laws of Athens all his life, and he said that breaking the law, just because it was a little unfavorable, did not fit his beliefs. Socrates also said that he is excited to meet Orpheus, Hesiod, and Homer before drinking the poison. Perhaps Socrates believed in the immortality of the soul. He believed that humans are trapped in the body in life, but after death, we could escape the body and go into the world of the soul. Socrates died after drinking the poison in prison. If you think about it, he could have escaped death by accepting a fine at the trial or escaping from prison. But in a way, he made a voluntary choice of death. This painting is The Death of Socrates, painted by Jacques-Louis David. It depicts the situation just before Socrates drank the poison. This is Socrates in the middle, and this is Plato, who has given up all hope, sitting at the end of the bed. And this is a friend named Crito, who advised Socrates to run away. And the person who is leaving is Socrates' wife, Xanthippe. She leaves not to see her husband's death. Let's wrap up. First, the Socratic method is a form of dialogue that allows the other person to get a critical view of his or her thoughts. Second, the oracle said that Socrates is the wisest man in Athens. It is because the others do not know that they know nothing, but Socrates knew that he knows nothing. This is called the awareness of ignorance. So he used to say, "Know thyself." Third, Socrates was sentenced to death by the Athenians. He could have avoided the death penalty, but he accepted death willingly in order to keep his beliefs.